blaming me for last episode's lack of views? Honestly? Did it ever occur to you that maybe the reason we're not getting enough views is because you published the videos after the game's release? Did it ever even cross your mind? Because it crossed mine. Let's just get this episode out of the way. We can discuss this later. Alright? Damn wanker. Just stop filming on. What do you mean, are you a boy or a girl? What kind of impolite question is that? Who asked that, honestly? Do you not see the paragon of masculinity that stands before you, lady? I'll play as the girl. Don't judge me! Also, yeah, guess what game I'm excited about today? Oh, no, that. What should a name be? Perhaps the biggest and most successful multimedia franchise to spawn in the 90s, Pokémon has been teaching children all around the world to leave their homes, families, and schools behind and set off on a quest to capture every single innocent creature with magical powers they can find and force them to battle for their own entertainment. All jokes aside though, Pokémon is actually a surprisingly deep role-playing game, hampered only by the fact that its weakest link is the one thing role-playing games are usually associated with: story. Now this all changed. Barely, of course, we are talking about Pokémon, gaming's most faithful believer in the "if it isn't broke, don't fix it" mantra. But it all did change with the release of Pokémon Black and White, games whose story focused on challenging the axioms that have come to dominate the Pokémon games thus far. Now, the games don't really go anywhere with any of these heavy plot points, but at least it's something. And thus we've come to Pokémon Black version 2 and Pokémon White version 2. The first games in the series to be openly touted as direct sequels. However, even though the games are clearly sequels, the intended direction for both groups of games is clearly different. But the first two Black and White games did their best to distance themselves from the history of the franchise up until that point and begin afresh. The new Black and White games are all about re-embracing all the tropes in the franchise's 16-year history. For better or worse. Boy, that was creepy. It's in the 90s, oh dear. Just play the trailer. Stop! Did they really need to point out that this animated trailer is not showing actual gameplay? Seriously. I mean, what's worse is that they only added this caption to the English version of the trailer. Ladies and gentlemen, I think it's pretty clear what those elitists at Nintendo think about the intelligence of Westerners.
Bitch, you were big as
and, you know, it's not one big happy family.
Seriously? Stay away!
Actually, they might be onto something. Going back to the trailer, we are reintroduced to N, a peculiar antagonist from the first set of games.
I say peculiar because, unlike previous antagonists in the game, N is not just some two-dimensional caricature of a villain, trying to take over the world because it's fun, or because there's a lack of supply of water in the world and he wants to flood it. What was that about?
Think about you and your Pokemon. What are you striving for?
The same old quality voice acting as always. Now, corny lines aside though, there's a nice subtext to N's lines here. If you need me to spell it out, basically he's prompting the player to question his motivations for becoming a Pokemon Master, or whatever it is he's trying to do.
That's it?
Not at all. That was actually a pretty good editing trick.
Let's go and get your Pokemon!
We're quickly introduced to the rival for this game, the male version of the protagonist in his very wavy fashion sense, and most importantly, Bianca, the female rival from the previous game, who now appears as a stand-in for Professor Juniper from Black and White.
Ta-da! The Pokemon that will be your partner is right in here!
Actually, I think this is a pretty good move on Game Freak's part. Unlike previous sequel versions, like Crystal, Emerald, or Platinum, Black and White 2 establishes a clear continuity with the first Black and White games. They've essentially taken two of the main protagonists from those games and given their character arcs payoff in the sequel.
Following up from that note, we are next introduced to Japanese teen Princess Leia, the female protagonist of this game, as well as Cheren, who is either a teacher at the Pokemon school shown earlier, or the first gym leader.
Let's do our best!
You got it! Superior Hyper Beam!
Assuming the latter is true, you do have to wonder about teenage Princess Leia over here.
Now this scene is probably taken from early on in the game,
You got it!
and she already evolved her Snivy all the way to a Superior.
What?
This girl is either the worst Pokemon trainer in history, or she just really enjoys grinding.
Superior! You slap!
Moving on, the trailer spices things up with a full-fledged Pokemon battle between Superior and Stoutland. Now notice, however, that unlike the battles in the anime, this particular battle seems to be emulating the flow of battles seen in the game.
I'm just getting started.
Music to my ears.
Team Plasma said this years ago. We should recognize the potential in Pokemon.
Now next up in the cast introduction list is crazy purple bang scientist looking guy under dramatic moonlight.
Well, he looks nice. Not at all the main antagonist of the game. No, no way. I mean, does this face look like the face of a villain? I don't think so.
I disagree.
Next up is another familiar face for those who played Black and White, as our main surfer dude walks off the stage with his already fully evolved Emboar.
My beloved
I think I'm starting to notice a pattern here.
The time has come for them to compete.
Here I should probably mention the excellent guitar riffs playing behind all of this action.
You'll see.
Definitely sets a more mature tone to the game. Next next up on the Pokemon Company's list of things we have in all the other games that we're hyping up for this one is the main character invading the villain's lair.
See how many of us there are? I strongly suggest you surrender already.
A couple of things worth mentioning about this scene in the trailer. First of all, notice how the main protagonist is using an Arcanine.
Arcanine, use Bite 2!
There's a big focus throughout this trailer on showing Pokemon from the previous generations.
A complete 180 from the previous games, really. The second noteworthy detail is the presence of Cheren in this scene.
If Cheren is a gym leader, as I think he is, his presence in this scene might be pointing out to the idea of a traveling gym leader in this game.
Kind of in the same vein as Brock and Misty from the anime.
Finally, the last set piece on this trailer is the ultimate tease.
I mean, what is going on here? Frozen City? Ninjas? Mystical ice traction running shoes? A scroll?
What is this, Naruto the first movie?
The last moments of the trailer are dedicated to showing off the new legendary for this entry in both of its forms. And just in case you thought this was all just a tease for a new Pokemon anime, the box art for the new game.
No troll like a Nintendo troll. But all jokes aside though, there you have it. A completely animated trailer that is more about the game it is trying to hype than some trailers with full gameplay wish they could. I'm looking at you, Resident Evil 6.
If there is any one thing I can gather from this trailer, is that Satoshi Tajiri, the creator of Pokemon, is finally getting the chance to build the more mature world of Pokemon he envisioned back in the late 90s, and which regretfully never came to fruition with the anime. Now, the reason this trailer is animated is because Game Freaks wants to begin bridging the gap between the action-packed set pieces of the anime and the meticulous strategic gameplay of the game series.
Now, there's no way to tell if they succeeded until we play the game, of course. But I think it's a pretty commendable goal, what they're doing. Now, if you'll excuse me, I need to pick a good name for my trainer. Don't want people thinking she's some kind of failure in life who needs to grind through all her problems to get through them. Do we?